Subcommittee on Higher Education to order. And we do have a quorum, so I'd like to go ahead and get us started. The members of the subcommittee will introduce themselves real quickly, please.
Good morning. I am LaSharice Aird, representing Senate District 13.
Good morning. Skylar Van Valkenburg, representing Senate District 16.
Good morning. Ghazala Hashmi, representing the Senate District 15 and chair of the Senate Committee on Education and Health, and sitting in today as an ex officio member.
And I'm Mamie Locke. I represent Senate District 23, which is cities of Hampton and Newport News. So we'll go ahead and get started, and beginning with Senator Reeves asked that Senate Bill 347 be passed by for the day, and need a...
So moved.
Moved and seconded that Senate Bill 347 be passed by for the day. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Okay, so that bill will be passed by for the day. I'm gonna sign up. The only person I see sitting there is Senator Roan.
I'm sorry. Good morning, Madam Chair, and to the members of the subcommittee. SB 318 is the Hunger-Free Campus Act. It would create a fund to incentivize public universities and colleges to take action to fight hunger on campuses across Virginia. This is a voluntary program for those schools to opt in based on how well their campus infrastructure can support it. With college enrollment still lower than it was pre-pandemic, addressing food insecurity can help students afford tuition and housing so they can stay in school and graduate on time. The major parts of this bill support stocking food pantries, allowing meal donations at schools where students have meal plans, and directing students to accurate information about how SNAP works, who's eligible for it, and how those eligible students can apply. SB 318 complements actions already being taken by our colleges and universities, such as establishing food pantries, making food vouchers available, and studying food insecurity at the campus level. It will fuel private partnerships between our public institutions and food bank nonprofits, and provide an important touch point for students who are often putting themselves through college and need a hand up. My team and I worked extensively with higher education stakeholders, including Chev. They've assured us they can successfully manage a program like this for all 39 of our public institutions of higher education. And Madam Chair, I'll note in consultation with Chev, we've included a $625,000 annual budget amendment to support the goals of this bill.
Thank you. Are there questions to the patron? Are there those here who are in support of Senate Bill 318? 5 minutes.
Good morning. Madam Chair Locke and members of the subcommittee. My name is Dr. Fred Tugis, and I serve as Chief of Staff for Student Engagement and Enrollment Services at Old Dominion University. And I'm here in support of SB 318, establishing the Hunger-Free Campus Grant Program. Our commitment at Old Dominion University to academic excellence extends to alleviating educational barriers, including initiatives like a decade-long meal donation program and the impactful Monarch Pantry introduced in summer of 2020, which has addressed food insecurity with significant academic success. ODU remains dedicated to a comprehensive culture of care to tackle our community's most pressing challenges. We endorse this legislation wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Heidi Hertz with the Virginia Agribusiness Council and the Virginia Food Access Coalition. We support this legislation. With recent data that 1 in 3 college students are food insecure, this will go a long way to make sure that they have all the resources they need to grow and thrive. Thank you, Senator.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Emily Moore with Voices for Virginia's Children. We also strongly support this bill. There was recent data from VCU showing that 34% of students on VCU campus are food insecure. That's 10,000 students right here in the city. Imagine what that looks like at scale here in our state. So we hope that you'll support the bill. Thank you.
Morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Miles Gordon with Virginia Commonwealth University. We support the bill. We already have a program like this called the VCU RAM Pantry Program, which already does some of the things outlined in the bill. So with that being said, we strongly support the bill. Thank you.
Morning, Madam Chair. Brad Copenhaver representing the Federation of Virginia Food Banks, and we also support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks, members.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. Today I have SB 159. It is a bill that would ensure the representation of Virginia's many fine private colleges on the State Council of Higher Education for Virginia. This bill in many ways codifies current practices. As you are probably aware, private colleges are represented on the council very well by former Hampton University president, Dr. William Harvey. However, after his term ends in June of 26, there might not be a representative of a private college on the council. And so, as of right now, the state law requires that one member of the 13 members of the council be a school superintendent and that one member be a public college executive. As the primary coordinating agency for higher education, these requirements make perfect sense. This bill would bring parity to the many private colleges in Virginia by also requiring that one of those 13 council members have served as the executive of a private college. I am a proud graduate of one of Virginia's private institutions, Hollins University, and I recognize the valuable contribution that these institutions provide to the people of Virginia, the United States, and the globe. Chris Pease, former delegate, now president of the Council of Independent Colleges in Virginia, is here to support the bill and to answer any questions, and I hope that you will pass it on to the full committee.
Thank you, Senator. Are there questions to Senator on this bill? Anyone in the audience wish to come speak in support?
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Chris Peace, representing Virginia Private Colleges. I want to thank you and the members of the committee for your leadership of the entire higher ed ecosystem, both public and private nonprofit. While the bill is simple and straightforward, it is also profound in what it illuminates and highlights for Virginia in that private nonprofit colleges represent about 33% of all degrees produced in the Commonwealth, 40% if you include undergraduate and graduate, nearly 50% of all nursing degrees. So you're talking about talent pathways, workforce development. The private nonprofit sector is a vital part of the higher ed ecosystem in the Commonwealth. As the Senator said, this codifies the existing practice of the appointment of Dr. Harvey. We don't know who will be governor in the future. We'd like this to continue. It was a good idea. We'd like to carry it forward. No fiscal impact. We do not add a seat to the board. The composition remains the same. And it's also a practice that's been performed in other states, including South Carolina, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Iowa, and Illinois. We ask that you make a motion to recommend reporting the bill. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I could ask Mr. Peace. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just curious if you could speak a little bit about the role that SCHEV has over our private institutions. Mm-hmm. What is the extent of SCHEV's own authority or responsibilities to private institutions as we consider whether or not to add a member to the board from these institutions?
Yeah, Madam Chair, thank you. Uber chair, like we used to say in the House. Obviously, Dr. Harvey is a retired private nonprofit president. He's serving currently on the council. SCHEV makes many decisions regarding programs, degree tracks. All of those decisions impact both the public and the private sector. They also oversee TAG, which is a little less than 3.4% of the state general fund spend in higher education. And I might add that's a tremendous return on investment of the state dollars if you're getting 33% of all degrees conferred.
Anyone here in opposition? Here to speak. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We now have Senate Bill 46, Senator Van Valkenburg.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, members of the committee. Senate Bill 46 does one thing. It bans Virginia public colleges and universities' practice of providing special admission treatment to student applicants related to alumni or donors. In June, the Supreme Court's ruling in Students of Fair Admissions against Harvard and UNC prohibited schools from considering race as a factor in admissions. And after that decision, I think a lot of discussion about what gets kids into college arose, and I think people realized how much of a factor legacy plays in students coming into schools. And so this bill would make sure that doesn't happen. And I'll just give some brief data and then stop. But a Harvard study showed that kids from the richest 1% are more than twice as likely to attend elite schools as kids from the middle class with the same SAT scores. And the study said that roughly 46% of that came from legacy admissions. A 2011 study of 30 elite schools showed that legacies are 45% more likely to gain admission than otherwise equally qualified students. And one kind of question around this that a lot of people who are skeptical of this say is that, well, it would stop donations coming from some of these universities, which I don't think should necessarily be taken into a factor when kids are coming to school. But studies show that it doesn't have an effect on that anyway. And so the bill would simply say that public universities can't take into account legacy admissions when accepting students. It doesn't mean that legacy admissions couldn't gain acceptance. Just that it couldn't be a point in their favor. And so that is the bill, and I hope we would act favorably on it.
Any questions to Senator Van Valkenburg? Okay, are there those here in support of Senate Bill 46? Anyone in opposition to Senate Bill 46? Wow. Go.
Make a motion.
Okay, then a motion is in order.
All right, as a first-generation college student, I like this bill. I move to report.
Second.
I'm first generation too. So
Before it was cool.
okay, the motion is to recommend reporting Senate Bill 46 to the full committee. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? So that will be recommended. Senator Stanley is not here. He asked me to pass this by. Well, he's too late, so you're up.
You want me to go up there or do you want me to sit here?
Whatever floats your boat.
Okay. All right. Ooh, am I late? Sorry. We're having a riveting conversation in the Courts Committee, so apologize. Madam Chair, members of the committee, I present to you Senate Bill number 62. Madam Chair, New College Institute was created by Ward Armstrong and others to provide four-year degrees where there were not a lot. Our economy, as you've heard me say many times, have gone from the top of the food chain to the bottom. And this was an effort to try to create, at that time, educational opportunities for people in Southside and Southwest Virginia. Over the course of time, and we've had over 400 graduates who have gotten their four-year degrees that would not have otherwise gotten them. We graduate about 20 teachers every year that stay and work. We organize and we actually serve the medical community by offering training that otherwise is not provided by our community colleges. We have a broadband academy that is specifically targeted to find children that are at or below the poverty level and may not be college ready or cannot afford college, but can go through our broadband academy. And when they graduate, almost 100% will be hired, haven't said any not, and they'll be making $65,000, $75,000. You've heard me say, Madam Chair, members of the committee before, breaking the cycle of poverty not only breaks it for that young person, but it breaks it for that family. We have an offshore wind program that we've developed that allows, and it's the only one of its kind on the East Coast, that provides offshore wind training, safety training. We even have a quarry where they do live rescues and training for those men and women that engage in the wind program, the GWO. And we've been certified. So we're going to be able to train people not only in that, but also technicians in repair. So we've got all of these programs. What we really want to be able to do, though, is to be able to be nimble. And so the purpose of the bill was enabling New College to design and implement, basically, and with collaboration with our government partners, workforce development programs that are relevant and needed pursuant to what maybe the legislative agenda may be, or who our governors are, or where we need those jobs to be. I believe after talking, I realized that there's an amendment that needs to be adopted to this as well. Is that what you're looking at me, right? Okay.
Need a motion on the amendment. Moved and seconded that the amendment be adopted, and if we can get an explanation on the amendment.
Can I have a copy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The amendment is at line 29 of the bill to switch from the Department of Education to the Department of Labor and Industry, the entity with which the New College Institute is to collaborate. You will see that it just says labor, and I wrote in an industry on the form I handed out to you, and that's just because that's the full name in the code. Thank you.
Madam Chair, that would be the bill. What we're trying to do is be, especially in areas where we have, nearly 1 out of 3 children living at or below the poverty level, we have to have workforce initiatives that are outside the realm of even like our community colleges that offer these opportunities at no cost or by scholarship. And we have to be nimble in the sense of we have to meet the needs of an ever-changing 21st century. And we're trying to create a tech talent pipeline by utilizing our children, our young men and women in Martinsville High School, and those other high schools in that area, and getting them. We have an incredible K-12 program right now, Madam Chair, that we've partnered with the Wendell Scott Foundation. Wendell Scott, the Jackie Robinson of NASCAR, and of course the foundation is created by his family, all of them educators. And we have a very aggressive K-12 program where we identify those children, those young men and women that would benefit from these workforce development programs that we want to implement. You may have heard recently that the administration believe that perhaps we shouldn't be funded in 26. Well, I say to you, Madam Chair, that what we're doing right now, even we have a de-escalation academy for our police officers to make sure that we're not having those incidents between our citizens and police. We are doing so much that they have not seen. And what we want to be able to do is do something like this that's going to better our community in Southside Virginia. And that's the legislation.
Senator Aird.
Yes, good morning, Senator Stanley.
Good morning.
Just wanted to clarify, as I look at the existing language that allows or gives the charge to New College Institute, and I look at the language you're proposing, I guess I'm not really certain as to what prohibits them from doing this work right now. As I look at Section 5, and it talks about workforce training, and I look at the language in 6, which goes further to talk about workforce training, I guess I'm trying to sort out why this language is necessary.
Madam Chair, I'd answer the senator by saying, quite frankly, under 5, it says encourage and coordinate the development and delivery. That was that. If you look in the New College Institute statute language, we were created at the time to create 4-year degrees in partnerships with our state universities, Longwood, Radford, other universities. And we could not and then be empowered to create our own programs. The other thing is that they would have to be programs that they would then implement. As, Senator, you have seen that after the pandemic, our institutes of higher learning that would bring the programs here, and we'd have a blended educational program. So it'd be part online right there in our classroom, part teacher. That went away because all of these big universities and colleges were able to provide their own online platform. They saw how it worked. They saw how it could be financially beneficial. And so the methodologies in providing the platform for education have changed, and have just changed and changed. And rather than play defense in this world, what this does is, because it says encourage and coordinate the development and delivery, and that's usually with a third partner, This empowers New College itself to create, design, and implement, in collaboration with our government here, workforce programs that are the dynamic workforce program that may not even be thought of yet. Because then that gives us the ability to deliver in a quicker manner than one would see probably in a community college setting or a traditional college setting. You know, the wheels of education I've learned by being chairman of the New College, they work slowly. And sometimes that hinders us from being able to bring in and attract new companies into an area that has suffered from NAFTA and CAFTA, where all our jobs went overseas. But with us working with labor and industry, if we're bringing in a new company, we can be the platform by which we can train all of their people and create a tech talent pipeline or a workforce pipeline that is necessary for that company to say, we're coming to Martinsville.
Madam Chair.
Senator Hashmi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Stanley, just a few questions in that regard then. In your original presentation, you said that New College is granting degrees or issuing degrees, but is that the case, or are those degrees actually coming from other institutions, Longwood and Radford and some of our community colleges?
Madam Chair, I'd answer the senator by saying yes. So even the degree in the ceremony is conferred right there at New College Institute's building in our campus. But actually the credit and the degree is, say, from Longwood or from Radford. So no one gets a New College Institute degree. In fact, why we've had the issue is that New College was created by the Harvest Foundation with the intent that they thought that they were going to bring another 4-year college on board online here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, which is, of course, what we, the legislature, have said we're not having any more colleges and universities.
Thank you. I think that answered my question in the sense that when I say issued, not the physical act of giving the degree during a ceremony, but the degree itself is issued by another institution. So thank you for clarifying that. Madam Chair, a follow-up question? Is New College accredited under SAC-COC?
Madam Chair, I'd answer that question by saying I'm just the chairman. I'm going to ask the executive director if you could come forward. He probably knows all those names and things.
Good morning, Madam Chair, committee members. My name is Joe Sumner. I serve as the executive director at New College Institute. While New College Institute itself is not accredited by SAC-COC, we do work with all of our university partners to achieve SAC-COC accreditation for all of our off-site campus locations, including our locations in Martinsville. We actually have our 10th year visit with Longwood coming up in March, and we're coordinating with their team and have been for several months to ensure the success of a 10th year reaffirmation visit.
Thank you. Madam Chair, just one last question. So Senator Stanley, I think one of my concerns with this additional language now in Section 6, as I read it, it seems to be a proposal to pull the process of program and curricular development out of that necessary collaboration with the other institutions, and then to create programs through Department of Labor and Industry as outlined in the amendment, or through workforce development, through the governor's office and so forth. So these programs, in essence, as I read it, would be created outside of that system that we currently have in place, where degrees are granted by Longwood, Radford, community colleges, and we would be giving credentials or degrees to students, presumably, going through these alternative programs, but those would not be accredited. So one of my concerns is that as we think about stackable credentials, the opportunities for students to take classes, to receive degrees, and then transfer some of those credits to other existing institutions, that those credits would not be transferable. The students would not have the opportunity to build on those stackable credentials, and we would leave them at a severe disadvantage. So I just wanted to see if you might clarify the scope and purpose of these alternative programs.
Madam Chair, and I thank you for the question. I'd answer the gentlelady by saying I think subparagraph B, or paragraph B, subparagraph 5 and 6 were in collaboration, not in competition. And I think if you would allow our executive director to answer your question more directly without some aspirational thing, what we're trying to do is create workforce training facilities and abilities with this platform that would not interfere with what our community colleges are doing, would not interfere. These are certifications that in our broadband academy, that's a certification of the National Broadband Association that's different. It's portable. You can take it with you. You can do different things. But if you allow Executive Director Sumner to opine on that, I think he can make it even more clear than me.
Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. All of our workforce development trainings are based on industry credentials that are transferable. Most of them are stackable. For instance, the one that comes to mind for most people is going to be OSHA 10, OSHA 30, things of that nature. Senator Stanley mentioned our fiber broadband certification. Our fiber broadband certification is an industry-recognized certification on a global level from the Fiber Optic Association. So while we can provide trainings to individuals based around competencies, around skill sets, we always seek to identify those certifications that will validate and will serve as evidence of that training, and we determine those based on input from business and industry around the Commonwealth.
See, he's a lot smarter than I am.
Senator Stanley, my question has to do with governance and mission of New College. Given some of the publicity surrounding New College, can you clarify, for me at least, what the issues are with regard to the governance structure and the mission itself of New College Institute?
Madam Chair, I'd answer you by saying that that is a question that would require a longer answer, and I'll try to be as succinct as possible, but I've already been called loquacious at least 3 times since we started last Wednesday. New College, of course, as I told you, started out to be one thing and has morphed into another. Our previous interim executive director and myself realized that the delivery of education had changed after COVID, and we were set to be a platform that was transformational in terms of something that no one else did. Part of our problem, Madam Chair, was if you remember Senator Wampler. Senator Wampler went down and became the executive director of New College after he retired. Senator Wampler was discharged with trying to get the building and the campus and everything put together. And God bless him, he did, but he's rough as a cob too. So what we had ended up being was in competition with places like Danville Community College or Patrick and Henry Community College, rather than in collaboration. The other thing is that we were involved in what was the hopes and dreams of a foundation that later pulled out a challenge grant, because when the state said New College will not be a 4-year institution, then that changed their motivations in what was a $50 million pledge. And so what we had to do was say, how can we then disentangle ourselves from being in competition with our community college partners, but rather be in collaboration, that we're not offering the same courses that they're offering, that we're doing something different that's going to make a difference in the lives of young men and women and their futures in Martinsville, Henry County, Franklin County, Patrick County, and even Pennsylvania County. The other thing is we in doing that, we gave ourselves the ability to do things that actually that our community college and community college partners can do, which is try to draw students in from across the state line, which is only 15 miles. We're 15 miles from the North Carolina border, some places even shorter than that. So we have had to then reconfigure what we were and what we are. Have there been stumbles? Yes. But this is the most important thing for our region in terms of education and also of workforce development in the future. Madam Chair, if you would just indulge me to allow Mr. Sumner also to describe what we're doing in that regard, maybe that will answer the questions. Those 4 series of articles, half of those were involving our foundation, not us. We don't get to track our students that are graduates or take credit for them from Longwood College when they graduate or Radford College. So our statistics are different. We didn't have any tracking mechanisms. But when the OSIG did an investigation of us, they found not only were we fiscally prudent and responsible, we just had a couple things we had to sharpen up and track our students a little better. If Mr. Sumner can then just finish up, this would be great. Mr. Sumner.
Yeah, speak to it all. Madam Chair, members. This started several months ago. Senator Stanley and the board and I gathered together and we said, how can we better serve the Commonwealth? What are some areas that we can address that may be overlooked? So we called upon our previous experiences. I'm new to the Commonwealth. I've been here for right at maybe a year. Prior to this, I worked in the state of Georgia. I worked very closely at the state level government. You may be familiar with the concept there known as Quick Start. I had a lot of experience working with the Quick Start group. In essence, if you're unfamiliar with it, this is a small group within the state level government in the state of Georgia that when a prospect commits to the state, regardless of what region, this group works to establish a training plan from the moment that team steps off the plane to the very first widget rolls off the assembly line. There's no longer a need to wait until buildings are built, until workforces are hired. This would give us the capability to formalize some things that we are already doing. We're already supporting statewide initiatives, as Senator Stanley mentioned, with the offshore wind training as well as the fiber optic training. So this is just a way to formalize some things that we've already doing and give us those capabilities to reach out and say, if you're bringing in a new company, if it's going to be a few minutes before your community college can get to it or whatever your workforce development partner might be in your area, this gives us the opportunity to collaborate with other entities and other agencies to start kind of a turnkey, hit the ground running training solution to help encourage those new business and industry prospects to our Commonwealth.
Are there those here in support of
Senate Bill whatever. 62. Senate Bill whatever.
Seconded that Senate Bill 62 be recommended for reporting. All of those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
No.
I'm a no. And Van Valkenburg is a no. Thank you, Senator Stanley.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Why are you scared?
I'll sit no. I don't know. I think there was back here.
Senator Pillion has Senate Bill 613.
So, Madam Chair, let me begin by saying this bill is permissive. It does not create a mandate for higher education centers. It was brought to me by the Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center in my district. Currently, only colleges and universities can establish police and security departments and employ folks in those departments. The only option that our higher ed centers have is to contract security services or to enter into MOUs with local law enforcement agencies for police coverage. This bill simply allows higher education centers and similar educational institutions to establish a campus security department, employ security officers as state employees in an established department. These institutions share many commonalities with colleges and universities in this, that students are often on site taking courses offered by their partners and participating in events. I know that our higher education center in Southwest Virginia rents out spaces, draws large crowds, has children there on the evenings doing STEM academies. So they're just looking for a different option for their security services. And that's the bill.
Are there questions to Senator Pillion on Senate Bill 613? Are there those here in support of Senate Bill 613? Are y'all scared this morning or something?
It's a long way from Abingdon to here.
Okay. Anyone here in opposition to Senate Bill 613? Is there a fiscal impact on this?
No, ma'am, because it's permissive.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we operate on a motion. It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 613 be recommended for reporting. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? So we could have stayed.
I know.
Okay, I believe that completes our docket for this morning. So with no further business, the committee will rise.
The Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia.